Hello friends, welcome to this lecture on molecular biology. With you, I am Dr. Shouman Bera, Assistant Professor, School of Life Sciences, B.S. Abdur Rahman Crescent, Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. Here we are going to discuss about the technique which has actually revolutionized the world of biotechnology. Yes, that's how scientists recognize the cloning technique as one of the significant invention that laid the foundation of modern biotechnology. So, what actually we meant by the term cloning? The word actually originated from the Greek word clone, K-L-O-N. Cloning means making an exact copy of something, means anything. So there comes the full name. Making a copy of a molecule in the lab is molecular cloning. Well, we use the term more specifically to DNA. So molecular cloning is the technique to make more and more copies of a particular DNA sequence. Now, let's get a little more specific. DNA cloning involves the process of combining two DNA molecules, that is, a recombinant DNA, and then maintaining them in specific cells. This whole process requires a lot of techniques which we are going to see now. We start the process by cutting our target DNA, means the DNA which we want to clone from a source, and then inserting it into another DNA, the vector DNA. This generates the recombinant DNA, and putting this recombinant DNA inside a suitable organism, that is the host cell, which is usually a bacterial cell into which the recombinant DNA is maintained. So the significance of the vector DNA is that it helps our target DNA to maintain in the bacterial cell. Not only that, when the host bacteria divides, it also makes copy of the recombinant DNA. You must have noticed that I have also mentioned two more requisites, restriction enzymes and DNA ligase. We'll now see their role. The cloning steps are as follows. We'll start with cutting the target DNA from the source with restriction enzymes. That is why we need those enzymes. Then we will cut the vector DNA with the same set of restriction enzymes used in the previous step. Next, we will ligate or join or combine both the DNA to form the recombinant DNA. Then we will transfer the recombinant DNA in the suitable host. Lastly, we will grow the transformed cell to get more copies of the recombinant DNA. So first, the restriction digestion step. Why restriction enzymes? Restriction enzymes are needed to cut the target DNA from the source in a sequence specific manner. Means the cut will not be random but will generate DNA with termini which are known to us. Because restriction enzymes cut at specific sequences, we will know the nucleotide sequences from the two end of our target DNA. So here what is happening, say for example, this is the target DNA inside our whole source DNA. Then this target DNA, when it is subjected to restriction enzyme treatment, these are the restriction enzymes specifically selected for these two ends. When we will treat the source DNA with the restriction enzymes will cut the target DNA. So we can specifically isolate these portions, that means our DNA of interest, and proceed to the next step. The DNA fragment, the next step after the collecting the target DNA is to insert this DNA fragment into a vector DNA. Again, the purpose is to maintain the target DNA in a suitable host, which is usually bacterial cells. The plasmids in bacteria are used for this purpose. So you know that these plasmid DNAs are nothing but circular DNAs. It can be actually easily collected from bacteria. The vector DNAs, they will have some common properties. They can replicate within the host cell. They will have some other genes that will function as selectable marker or selection marker, meaning helping us to identify the plasmids or this recombinant DNA in the host. Most importantly, they have DNA sequences which are the cutting sites for restriction enzymes. Why we need the restriction sites in vector? So that we can cut the vector with the similar enzymes that we have used to cut the target DNA earlier. Result? Result is that we can generate both the target and the vector DNA having identical ends, which are easy to join, easy to combine. So enough of these talking things, let us see actually what is happening. So we have this vector DNA, we have this target DNA cut with the restriction enzyme. We have the vector DNA cut with the restriction enzymes. When we are combining both of them, they will have, as they are having identical ends, they can join to form again a single molecule, a single circular DNA. Now this whole process, the process means this joining of these two cut ends here and here is actually performed by another enzyme known as the DNA ligase. So this is the step which is also needed in the generation of recombinant DNA. If you remember in the first slides we have mention this DNA ligase as one of the requisite for the cloning step. So this is the function, this is the role of the DNA ligase enzyme. The next step is to transfer this recombinant DNA in the host cell. Here we will be using bacterial cells as the host cells. Usually E. coli is the primary choice for its easy availability and great competent in nature. Competency means the ability of the bacterial cells to accept any foreign DNA. The process by which the E. coli host cell accept the foreign recombinant DNA is known as transformation. Two basic protocols are used. One by chemical method using calcium chloride followed by heat shock, and the second one is electroporation, where electric shocks are given to the cells to make the membrane more permeable to the foreign DNA. Here obviously the recombinant DNA. We will see the chemical method only here, which is more common and less expensive. So we are actually keeping this is the host cell. We are keeping the host cell along with the plasmid. These are the recombinant DNA we have generated. The small circles are the recombinant DNA we have generated, and this is the host cell. Everything is kept in a single reaction tube at 4 degrees centigrade in ice. Now what we'll be doing next is that we'll be taking this particular mixture or the combination of this DNA and put them for a very brief time period, that is something in the range of 30 to 40 seconds at high temperature, which is higher than this 4 degrees centigrade, 42 degrees centigrade. So this is, and then again after this time period is over, we will be keeping the tube back. Tube means the tube containing these plasmid vectors as well as the host cell, keeping them back into the 4 degrees centigrade. So this brief time period of high temperature is actually giving them a temperature shock. We are generally calling it as a heat shock. What is the purpose? The purpose here is that this heat shock will create some temporary pores here. See, the membrane of the host cell is kind of having some temporary pores, which will allow the plasmid DNAs or these recombinant vectors to enter inside the host cell. Once this time period is over, within which all the plasmid DNA are coming inside the host cell, we are again keeping the whole mixture back to the cold temperature that will allow the cell membrane to get healed up and it will close upon. So there now these plasmid, the vector or the plasmid DNAs which were outside, now they are inside the cell. So whenever these cells will grow, whenever we will grow these cells, this population of the cells will be enriched. That means each of the cell will now, when they will divide, they will also make copy of this recombinant DNA or the plasmid vectors, and we will also get more and more number of these plasmid, our recombinant DNA. So that is the purpose. So the next and the final step in molecular cloning is growing the transformed cells. Before that, we need to select the transformed cells and discard the non-transferred cells. How? See, here we have both the transformed and the non-transformed cells. Fine. And then we have in this recombinant DNA, that means the vector plus our gene of interest, we have certain other gene which is known as the selection marker, as we have mentioned before. Here we are using ampicillin resistant gene as a selection marker, meaning this gene, if present, will protect the bacteria against the antibiotic ampicillin. That also means if the vector is not present, the cells cannot survive in ampicillin containing media. That is what we are taking the advantage of. So now we have these two cells. When we are growing them in the growth media containing ampicillin, we can always expect that obviously some cells will grow, and which are these cells? The cells will be obviously the transformed cells, because the transformed cells are the ones which are having the ampicillin resistant genes in their vectors, these plasmid vectors, the DNA vectors. Alright, so this is what actually the steps how we can develop the recombinant, or we can perform the molecular cloning. So now what are the different applications of molecular cloning? With the help of these cloning techniques, we can study lot of things. A few of them I have mentioned here, but there can be lot more. One example is the gene expression study. We can pick and select a particular gene, like how we have cut out a target gene, a target DNA. We can select a particular gene one by one, and then we can study their functions. We can make recombinant protein. We can fuse some property of one protein, the other property of a second protein. We can combine them to make it more beneficial, to make it more useful. We can create transgenic plants and animals. We can do gene therapies, which are actually very useful for so many inherited diseases. We can do genome sequencing. The whole human genome sequencing is possible partly because of this, because we have in our hand the gene cloning techniques. So here with this we come to an end of this lecture. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any queries, please contact me in the below mentioned email address. Thank you.